Hi, my name is Felipa, and this is day 25 of my year-long reading plan of the Bible. So today I'm on Exodus chapter 11, and the God tells the people of Israel the animals and the beasts that may be eaten, and the fish that may be eaten, and the creatures that may or may not be eaten. And so basically, the biggest part is that if there is a cloven-footed and an animal that cheweth the cud, you shall eat, but not eat of them that chew the cud or of them that divide the hoof as a camel. Also, not the hare, and also not the swine, so not the pig, actually. So both those are considered unclean. And also fish, any fish that have fins and scales in the seas and the rivers, but basically not any of like the creepy crawly thingies, and not the ferrets and the mouses and the snails and the moles. Um, and not the mice, or the snakes, or the little creepy thingies. And after that, he goes into the purification of women after childbirth. And so basically talks about women having children, women having their periods, women actually needing to uh, not kind of mingle and to stay away from people during their period, which obviously I'm really glad we've come a long way from that. Because it's obviously very shaming and discriminating. And of course, this was it made sense for that time, but obviously, if you can tell by my voice as a woman, I am glad that nobody's banishing me during that time of the month. And then a massive, massive guidance for priests in discerning leprosy. And so I wonder if it's just leprosy itself, and maybe like cancers and any sort of like skin blemishes. So if it's just leprosy or if it's all these other things, but massive, massive amounts of pages and directions on how to treat it and whether or not there's hope for the person becoming healed. But basically, the Lord uses clean or unclean to determine whether or not this person essentially is cured or can be cured. A process of cleansing a leper is also talked about, cleaning the clothes and things like that, cleaning a house that is considered of having leprosy, and then actually talking about discharges and uncleanliness. So if if your nose is running or if you have some other discharge and things like that, that you're unclean and you have to clean yourself before you're considered clean again. And then a process of how the priests enter the holy space. And that brings us to the very end where it talks about how eating all blood is forbidden. And interesting here in verse 11, it says, so chapter 17, verse 11, it says, "For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul." And so this is really interesting to me because it's basically God saying that life is in the blood, which makes sense because if you were to bleed out, you're no longer alive, and therefore you have, according to this, you have no more flesh and soul. You have no more blood, and so that's an interesting piece here that says life is in blood, and then you shouldn't eat blood because it means you're eating somebody's soul, essentially. That's it for day 25, and I will see you tomorrow for day 26.